Today is something of another random Yu-Gi-Oh video. I thought today I would take a look at a trip down memory lane with one of the re-releases of Yu-Gi-Oh! This is the 25th anniversary edition re-release of the very first booster pack that has ever been released, Legend of the Blue Eyes White Dragon. And we're going to compare this to one of the new modern sets that you could find at any supermarket, pretty much. And that is this little set here. This is a set of 20 commons, 5 rare cards, 1 light pack, and 1 foreign pack. The foreign pack we don't really care about. These are just 3 Italian cards, but the light pack has some pretty good spellcasters from what I can tell, and then there's 5 rare cards and 5 common cards. And we're gonna see, could you build a deck just with a couple of these versus about a couple of these? Now it's not actually gonna be like a good deck, but could you put more cards per pull in this into a deck versus something from the modern world of Yugioh? We're going to first take a look at our Blue Eyes White Dragon booster pack here. We're going to open this up, and we're going to be very careful with it, naturally. So we're going to open it up from the side here and try to be very, very careful with these, because we like being careful, nice to our little cards and all that goodness. So here is a nice, classic, OG set of Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards. And in here we have Mystical Sheet number 2, Terra the Terrible, Raise Body Heat. This is a good card for a dinosaur deck. It'll increase your dino cards. This is Laser Cannon Armor. You can equip this to your insect cards. Good for a Weevil Underwood deck. The Legend. We got it. The Legend. Pot of Greed. Pot of Greed? What does it do? It allows you to draw 2 cards. It's banned. The Furious Seeking. You get the Sojin card. You could get these from, I believe, Joey's starter deck, maybe. Since it's good for warriors. We got the Witty Phantom. And then we got Dragon Treasure. Dragon Treasure is good for a Kaiba Dragon deck. So, a lot of these are vanilla cards. Most of the old Legend of the Blue Eyes White Dragon era cards were going to be vanilla cards. Most of these are going to be vanillas. By vanilla, we mean basically a monster card without an effect. That's what these are. Most of the time, you're going to get monster cards with effects, and all this with the modern era and all that stuff. But back then, effect cards were pretty rare. Did we get an effect card in this set, in this little pack here of 9 cards? No, we didn't. Did we actually get 9 cards? Let's confirm this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We actually got 9. I took a look at a couple of the modern booster pack sets that at various stores, and they actually reduced the amount of cards you can get in these things now. Some of them are in 5 card packs, some of them are 7 card packs, some of them do have 2 7 card booster packs and 1 big container, but each individual pack, as in like one of these little wrappers here, is less than 9. So that's less than ideal. That's why I took a look at this one, because this one has the most in your booster pack. This is going to be the most bang for your buck. And they're about the same price as a regular booster pack. So we're going to take a look at this one. I'm going to open this one off screen, and then we'll show you what's in here. I'm pausing real quick to show you what was actually in these Italian booster sets here. We have 3 cards, only 3 cards. We have 2 Pendulum Monsters and 1 regular trap card, and they're in Italian, so I have no idea what these say. Are they good? Well, let's take a look. This one has 0 attack, 2100 with an effect. This one has 2200 and 3000 with an effect. A bunch of stars here, so pretty good Pendulum Monster. I still have no idea what Pendulum does. And then we have a trap card. I have no idea what these are. These are in Italian, so if they're good, then they're good somewhere else. But here we have the stack of 25 regular cards, and then we have here a light pack. The light pack is a 3-card pack, but it has Yugi on the front, so it might have some pretty good OG era cards. So we're going to open this one first and see what these have here. Again, we're going to be very careful. I like how these are very easy to open nowadays. So in here we have 3 cards, like before. We have Pendulum Dimension, so I guess for Pendulum cards. We have Skyscraper for GX era cards. And then we have Onomato Pickup. 3... Well, if you have a Jaden Elemental Hero deck, this will help you with that. I don't. I do have Elemental Hero Neros, but I don't have anything else. I didn't really pick up any GX era cards. This is Pendulum Dimension. If you have Pendulum cards, I don't know, I guess that'll be useful for that. And this is Onomato. This is for the go, 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 da, 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 do, do, do types of cards, a bunch of random syllables. If you have that, that's useful, but by itself, they're useless. Now we're going to take a look at this set of 25 cards and see if you could actually build a deck out of just picking up a couple of these versus picking up a couple of these. Because if you pick up a couple of these, you could theoretically make a deck out of these. These are all normal monsters. So these spell cards do have some various requirements. None of these are dragons or insects, so you can't really use those with that. This you could use with pretty much anything, but it's banned. This is an Aqua Monster. This could be used with warriors. Do we have any warriors? No, but you do have beasts. So we could Beast, Warrior, or whatever. That might be useful. This is Fiends, and this is Dragon Treasure. These are all equip cards. These are pretty good equip cards. You can put these with whatever you want there. And then this is the Witty Phantom. So you could just throw these 4 monster cards into a deck, and you could play them. They're not going to be good cards, naturally. Lodgin, the Mystical Genie of the Lamp, could destroy all 4 of these immediately, but you could put them into a deck. There is nothing stopping you from doing that. These equip cards require a certain type of monster that we do not have in one of these, but if we picked up a couple more, we might get something that we could use these equip cards for. And of course we have the Field Spell, which works with warriors and beast warriors, and it might even work with beasts. I'm not exactly sure about that, but we don't have any warriors or beast warriors in this set. We just have 4 random monsters that work on different fields. So the Field Spell is useless, but the Pot of Greed is useful. So we could put that, if you could play Pot of Greed, you have 5 useful cards that you could put into any deck right now. These have a little bit more of a requirement, 4 cards that require another type of card, monster type, to be used with it, in conjunction to it. But they could be used still. If you open a couple more of those Legend of the Blue Eyes White Dragon packs, you might find something that you could use in them. Actually, the Legend of the Blue Eyes White Dragon pack by itself was pretty much useless. There wasn't very many good cards in there. You could pull the Dark Magician, you could pull the Blue Eyes White Dragon, you could pull a bunch of pretty good cards that came in the old Yugi and kind of starter decks, but overall, you could use the cards. You even got the pieces of Yugioh in them, to my knowledge. Now let's move into this little set here. We have here Dragon Nails. We could actually use that for any dark monsters. Oh, we have a couple dark monsters here. We could use this card with this. I think this is from I do know this is an older card, re-release of an older card. This could be put onto the Red Eyes Black Dragon even. And I believe Joe even did that back in the day. So this is a pretty good card. You can use that right away. Chi Golem Pebble Dog. Does this have an archetype? Cyberse Monsters. I have no idea what these are. This is like a little Cyberse thing. This is from the new Yu-Gi-Oh stuff. Morphtronic Impact Return. You need to have other Morphtronic monsters. So if you don't have any of those, this card is absolutely useless. Edge Imp Chain. You can add 1 Edge Imp Chain from your deck to your hand, so you have to have at least more than one of these for this card to have a useful effect. You can add 1 Frightfur card from your deck to your hand if you had either of those 2 cards, but by itself, if you don't have those 2 cards, this card's effect is useless. And then, of course, we have a Metal Foes. This is a Metal Foes archetype. The Metal Foes archetype, if you don't have a Metal Foes archetype, you can't use this card. We have the Heroic Challenger, the Knuckle Sword Warrior, so we could actually use that Sojin card with this card, and it'll get a power boost, field power bonus. We don't really have any heroic monsters, but we could use that, where's that, where did I put it? That Skyscraper card that we pulled from that other set that I put somewhere else. Was it over here? Yeah, it was over here. This one right here, if we put this monster on this field, it'll probably get a power bonus, so that's pretty cool. Does this have an archetype? Does this have an effect that requires other cards that you may not have? This card, normal summon, you can target another warrior monster. I love that. They just say basic warrior monster. They don't actually name a specific card, so this has a more generic special effect. So if you have other warriors in your deck, which you probably could have a lot of warriors to pick up any type of deck, you probably pick up warriors. So that'll be pretty useful. I'll put that in this pretty useful pile here. Brightest Blazing Branded King. Choose one fusion monster you control that mentions Fallen of Albaz as material. There's a lot of cards that I find in these little multi-packs that mention the Fallen of Albaz, and I've never actually gotten a Fallen of Albaz actual card, so useless. Sign It Circuit. Target one Firewall Link monster you control. Again, we have this card that requires another card to be used with it. If your life points are 2,000 or less, you can banish this card from your graveyard. Return one Firewall Link monster. So you need at least a Firewall Link monster for this to work. So you can't just put this into any deck. So much like so a lot like these equipped cards, you need another type of card, but these are more specific to a certain archetype. But right now, it is useless. Gold Pride. It's neck and neck. Target one Gold Pride monster or you control, or one Gold Pride card in your graveyard, except Gold Pride. It's neck and neck. Return it to the hand. So this is part of the Gold Pride archetype. So if you don't have any Gold Pride cards, which I don't think we have any in this little set here, it is useless. Cyber Dragon. Immediately, this is a good pull right here. This is if your opponent controls a monster and you control no monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand immediately. Useful, very useful. I'll put that in there. You can actually put this. No, you can't. It's dark. It's not a dark type, so never mind with that. But you could. It's a pretty good card. Dark Resonator, a fiend and a tuner. Once per turn, this card cannot be destroyed by battle. Awesome, very good. If you play this card, if you tend to use it in a synchro summon, it can't be destroyed by battle. So that's pretty good. I'm gonna put that in the pretty good pot right there. Gardna. Here we go. That one thing from that light pack right here, Automato Pickup. This one right here, this is part of that archetype. If you look here, the do ga and go cards, so this is used in conjunction with this type of set, but by itself, does it have an effect that you could use by itself? When your opponent's monster declares a direct attack, you could special summon this card from your hand. When this card is targeted for an attack, you can discard one card. This card cannot be destroyed by that battle. Pretty good. You don't need another card to use this, so I'm going to put that right there in a pretty useful card. Bacon Saver. During either player's battle step, while an attack is occurring, you can banish this card from your graveyard, negate the attack, and you could only use the effect of Bacon Saver once per turn. Well, that's actually pretty good. I'm going to put that in the pretty good. Tusky Knight. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, when you have no cards in your hand and this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon this card from your graveyard and then end the battle phase. You can only use the effect of Tusky Knight once per duel. It doesn't require you to have any other cards, so that's pretty useful. Spell Striker. You can special summon this card from your hand by banishing one spell card from your graveyard. This card can attack your opponent directly. You take no damage from attacks involving this card. Pretty good. It doesn't require anything else. Huli the Jewel Makanko. Look at all that. Look at it. Wow. I'm not going to read all of this, but I'm going to take a look and see if this requires any other cards to use, or if we could use it by itself right away. If this card is not equipped with an equipped card, you take no damage from battles involving this card. If this card is equipped with an equipped card, it cannot be destroyed by battle, and your opponent takes any battle damage you would have taken from battles involving this card. When you control an equipped card, your opponent cannot target Makanko cards you control with card effects. If either player equips an equipped card to this card, you can add one Makanko trap from your deck. Alright, there you go. Right near the end here. It requires a Makanko type of card. So if you don't have another Makanko card, you can't use all of this card's effects. But some of its effects are pretty good, so I'm going to put it in the pretty useful little pile here. Your Therion Bull Ein. You can only use one of the following Therion Bull Ein once per turn. You can target one Therion, and right away that's a specific archetype, or one warrior monster in your graveyard. That's pretty good. I like that they did that. So this is a warrior card, but it's also a Therion card. This is a warrior card, so this card's effect could actually target this Spell Striker card. So you can actually target basic warrior archetypes instead of exactly Therion cards. I like that they did that for this specific effect here. Special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, equip that monster to this card. You could target one Therion card. That's the second effect here. You could target one Therion card you control, and one card your opponent controls. Destroy them. Alright, so the first effect will be regular warriors. The second effect requires you to have a specific Therion type of card. So it's somewhat useful. So we're going to put it in this somewhat useful pile. Crow Tengu. If this card is in your possession, is destroyed by an opponent's card effect and sent to your graveyard, or if this card is special summoned from the graveyard, you can target one attack position monster your opponent controls and destroy it. You can only use this effect of Crow Tengu once per turn. Alright, we don't have any mention of other cards, so you can use this card right away. We have no obligations to any other set. It could be put into any deck. It doesn't have to be a good deck. It could be a garbage deck, but it could be put into a deck right away. This is a Predaplant. I think this is the Predaplant archetype, so we can't use it. VLAN Hydra. Gains 300 attack for each monster co-linked to this card. You can target one link or lower VLAN tokens, blah, 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 equipped to that. I don't see any specific card that this card needs to use in conjunction. So long as you have it linked to a card, it'll work. We have 3 little links. I still don't know what links and pendulums are. I figured out XYZs and synchros. I know those 2. I'm still learning about links, but I think I figured it out. So long as you have the required components on the lighted up arrows, you could summon the card in your extra monster zone. And since I don't see any specific monsters or specific archetypes on this card, I think you can use it right away. So it's going to go in the useful pile. And then a Crow Tengu card in the useful pile. Here is Heroic Challenger, Morningstar. If you control 2 or more warrior monsters, you could special summon this card from your hand. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can add one heroic spell trap right away. We need a specific archetype heroic cards. If we have no heroic spells or traps, like a spell or trap that mentions heroic in the title or something, you cannot use this card's effect. So it requires other cards in order to be useful. Let's read the rest of the effect, though, to see if we can use some of this here. So we can at least summon it when we have 2 or more warrior monsters. And we do have quite a few warriors here. We have Therion Bull-End. This is a warrior. And we have a bunch of these in here. We have this one here, Spell Striker, is a warrior. And Toski Knight is a warrior. So if you happen to have both of these on the field, you could summon this right away from your hand. So that is semi-useful. So you can at least summon it and use it to a degree. But you can't use the second half of its effect unless you have the right cards. So we're going to put this in the semi-useful pile. Dogmatic Dogmatica, I think this is for the Dogmatica archetype. If you have no other Dogmatica cards, such as Ritual Summon one Dogmatica Ritual monster from your hand or deck by tributing Dogmatica monsters and or Ritual Fusion or Synchro monsters from your field whose levels exactly equal the level of the Ritual monster you have, you Ritual Summon, blah, blah, blah. If this card is in your graveyard, you could banish this card and then target 2 Dogmatica monsters. So this requires other cards to work. So if you do not pull specific Dogmatica cards from another couple of these booster packs, you cannot use this card in a deck immediately. So you're gonna have to make a specific archetype deck for this to work. So you can't use it. Scareclaw Astra. You can special summon this card from your hand to your main monster zone, adjacent to a Scareclaw monster. So right away, you need to have another Scareclaw monster. You can only special summon Scareclaw Astra once per turn this way. Your Scareclaw monsters in the extra monster zones can attack a number of times each phase up to the number of defense positioned Scareclaw monsters you control with different names. So right away, this is part of an archetype. Most of this card's effects require other Scareclaws, and since there's only one Scareclaw, only one Scareclaw, then this is useless to us. Ichiroku's Ledger Book. Oh, Luster Dragon. And that's the Luster Dragon right there. Target up to 2 monsters your opponent controls. Banish them until the end of phase. Then your opponent gains 1,000 life points that left the field by this effect. Wow. You banish monsters until the end phase for a single turn. And your opponent gains life points for that. The only way I could see this card working is if your opponent has two monsters on the field, just 2 monsters, and you have a couple monsters on the field, probably with attack points total, with more attack points than the life points here. So your opponent gains for each monster that left the field by this effect, so up to 2,000 life points. So if the way I could see this card being useful is if you got rid of 2 of their monsters. So let's say they had these 2 cards right here. If they had these 2 on the field, and you banished them, and you had a monster on the field, and then you summoned another monster to the field, and their total attack points are 3,600, then I could see this working. I could only see a direct attack resulting with life points loss over 2,000 being worth it, because they're going to gain 2,000 life points, and the monsters are going to return at the end of your end phase. So you're going to need a win. So if they have less than the amount of life points required for a direct attack or whatever, this is something that you can use in tandem to a final attack, I guess. But right now, I just don't see a use for it. But we can use it right away. It doesn't require any other specific cards to be used in tandem with it. So we're going to put it in the useful pile. So right away in this, we have 9 cards, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them can be used right away. These are 3 equip cards. They require a specific type of card to be equipped to. Dragon Treasure. Let's see. Now this deck, this booster pack, Legend of the Blue Eyes, does come with the Blue Eyes, but we didn't get one in this booster pack. But you can get one in this booster pack. Dragon Treasure could be used with the Blue Eyes here to give it an extra attack points of 300. That doesn't seem like much, but for 2002 early era Yu-Gi-Oh, 3,000 to 3,300 is a pretty big deal. So that's actually pretty good. You just need a dragon. And there were a bunch of dragons, not necessarily just the Blue Eyes. There were others like Komori Dragon, Blackland Fire Dragon, and a bunch of others that I can't recall off the top of my head. But you can use this card with those. You just need we just didn't get any dragons in the specific booster pack. But we could use it in another one. This one requires dinosaurs, and this one requires insects, and this one requires warriors or beast warriors, but it is a field spell. So we have these cards that require other cards, not necessarily for specific monsters, just for specific types of monsters. We need warriors or beast warriors, insects, dinosaurs, or dragons. We don't need specific cards. Like here, in this little set here, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cards that require a specific archetype to be used. And if we add in these 3 here that came with that light pack, these also, 2 of these also require a specific archetype to be used. Skyscraper is much like Sojin, is a field spell to be used in tandem with a certain type of monster, in which case this one is for the elemental heroes from the GX era. So, yeah, this one's a little bit more specific in regards to Sojin, but the boost, I believe, is a lot better. Sojin here gives any warrior or beast warrior 200 attack and defense on the field right away. The Skyscraper gives any elemental hero that if an elemental hero monster attacks a monster that has a higher attack, the attacking monster gains 1,000 attack points during that damage calculation only. So you can use this as an underdog archetype. If your opponent, for example, summons, let's say Terra the Terrible was an elemental hero, and this one, Theron Boland, was on the other side. Theron Boland has 2,100, and Terra the Terrible has 1,200. If Terra the Terrible was an elemental hero, and this field spell was on here, and Terra the Terrible attacked Theron Boland, Terra the Terrible's 1,200 would go to 2,200 just for the attacking phase only, and he would actually be able to destroy Theron Boland. That is pretty useful. I'm going to say that right away. That is pretty useful. That is a pretty good card, but you need elemental heroes. If you don't have elemental heroes, you can't use Skyscraper. So you need to have elemental heroes. Sojin, at least, we have a lot of Warriors and Beast Warrior cards. I just didn't pull any in this specific pack. But we have 5 out of 9 cards that are useful immediately. In this card, we have 9 that are not useful at all. We can't use them because we need specific cards to make them work. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that have partial effect usage. We can use part of the effects right away, but the other part of the effect, we need other cards. So that's partially useful. That's 5 here. So these cards we can use right away. We can put all of these into a single deck. It's not going to be a good deck at all. Not going to be a good deck at all. But we could put them into a deck and we can use them right away because they don't require anything else to use. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That is actually really good for one of these things. I have heard people pulling from these, getting 20 cards that would go into the useless pile that require other archetypes to use in tandem. So this is actually pretty good for what we have here. 5 semi-useful cards, 9 useless cards, and how many are here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I lost count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 useful cards. So if we combine semi-useful, and useless, then the useful cards do not outnumber the useless cards, but since we have somewhat useful cards, we could put these 5 into a deck like this. We just couldn't use all of the cards' effects, the full power of these monsters. Technically, you can use any of these cards, the monster cards at the very least, not the traps and spells, because the traps and spells do require specific cards to use them with. So we have 2 monsters here that we could theoretically just use right away. We just couldn't use their effects, so they would just be used like a vanilla monster like Terra the Terrible here. So technically we could use these. They're just not that good, but Terra the Terrible is terrible too. Scareclaw Astra has the same amount of defense points as Terra the Terrible. It's a 3-star monster. Terra the Terrible is 4. Wow, 4 stars. Wow, that's crazy. But we could just use these as regular vanilla cards and not as effect monsters. But when you have an effect monster, you're going to want to use that effect. You don't want to not use it. Lost my train of thought there. Where was I? Yeah. So 5 useful cards and 4 could be useful cards if we had the right cards for them. And you know, if we picked up a second Legend of the Blue Eyes booster pack, we might have pulled a dragon, we might have pulled a warrior, we might have pulled an insect, we might have pulled a dinosaur. So these cards could be useful, but they don't need specific cards. They just need, well, they do need specific types of cards, but they don't need a specific card. These do require these are archetypals, like the Scareclaw archetype, the what is this one? The Morphotronic archetype, Pendulum Monsters, Automatos, the Dogmatica archetype, the Predaplan archetype, Gold Pride archetype, the Cyanid archetype. What is this one? The Fallen of Albaz, whatever archetype, and the Metalphos archetype. These are all archetypes. If you don't have the cards for that archetype, then when you have one by itself, it is not going to be as good. At least we could use these 5 right away. We could use these 5 partially right away. These we can use right away. So if we go by what's the word I'm looking for here? If we go by, since we don't have any elementals, I'm going to put this in the useless pile. If we don't have, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm looking for a specific word. If we go by the amount of cards in each pack, this gave me 28 cards, and this gave me 9. So 5 out of 9 are useful. 11 out of 28 are useful. 5 out of let's subtract 11 out of 28. That gives us 17. 5 out of 17 are semi-useful, leaving us with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12? Was it 12 or 13? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12 useless cards. That's kind of okay. Would that be the same percentage? I don't know. Technically, I could eventually pull a dragon, like I already have a dragon here, that I could use this dragon treasure with. I do have dinosaurs that I could use this raised body heat with. I do have insects that I can use this card here with. Here's an example. This is a Trex Arachnocampa. I could use laser cannon armor with this card right away. And I do have plenty of warriors that I could use this card right away with. But do I have elemental heroes? Like I said, I have one elemental Neos that I picked up a long time ago. I don't have any other cards, so I can't really use this. I don't have any other Edge Imp Chains. I don't have any Frightfur cards. I really can't use this. I don't have any Scareclaws. I don't have any Morphotronics. I have a Pendulum Monster that was right here. But what does this do? If you special summon any of these monsters using a Pendulum Monster as material, while this card is already face up in your spell or trap zone, you can activate the appropriate effect. You cannot apply the same effect of Pendulum Dimension for any rest of this turn, even if the card leaves the field. Effect number 1. For a fusion, if this is a fusion using a Pendulum Monster, you can special summon one monster from your deck with the same original level as that fusion monster in defense mode, but negate its effects. Or you could sync if you fuse with the Synchro Monster with this. If it's a Synchro Monster that you fuse a Pendulum Monster with, add one Polymerization from your deck to your hand. That's actually pretty cool. XYZ, one of these cards here, the black one. Take one Turner from your deck with an equal or lower level than the XYZ monster's rank, and add it to your hand, or special summon it. So Pendulum Dimension does sound useful. I still have no idea what these things are. The Pendulum Monsters are. I'm still learning about these, but yeah, I have Pendulum Monsters clearly. So if I used this to make an XYZ monster, if, for example, this is a 3-star Pendulum Monster, if I found a way to get this onto the field, Metal Falls Silvered, I can't use its effect or whatever. Well, actually, does this have it? No, it's a normal monster. What? Sizzling Soldier. Once per turn. So actually, oh, there it is, right here. You do need this. You do need a Metalfoes for this part to work. But this regular part is just a normal monster. But it does require Metalfoes in here, so it does go in the useless. But if I used this 3-star Pendulum card, let's say, do I have any 3 stars in here? Yeah, I do. The Furious Seeking. If I put the Furious Seeking with Metalfoes silvered here, and I fused it to make a level 3-star XYZ monster, then this Pendulum Dimension card could be used. So I don't necessarily have to have a Metalfoes to actually have this. I can just use this for a fusion fodder to make an XYZ 3-star monster. So technically I could put this in the semi-useful pile, and put this in the semi-useful pile since we have a Pendulum monster here. But do we have an XYZ monster in this set? We did not get an XYZ monster in this set. Do I have one though? I checked. I sadly do not have a level 3 XYZ card. So I cannot use the XYZ. Do I have something that I could use to make a synchro summon with this? I could, but it's not ideal. And could I use this at a fusion? No, I don't have any fusion monsters that are generic enough to fuse this with. So technically I have to put these here since I don't have the cards to actually use them properly. So let's continue going through here. Let's see. Do I have anything I could use this with? I did just get a Go-Go Gaga. Where did I put it? Was it in here? Is it in here? No. Where was it? Where the heck did I put it? No. I guess it might be in here. I was just looking at it. I know I was. Here it is. Guard. So, I technically have a couple Gardenas, so I technically could use Auto Pickup. Let's see what this does. When this card is activated, you can add one Onomat card from your deck to your hand, except Auto Pickup. You could target one Zubaba, one Gaga, one Go, or one Dododo monster you control. I'm not exactly sure what an Automat is. I'm guessing a Gaga is an Automat card, but it doesn't exactly say it's an Automat card, so how the heck would you know? Unless these are what your Automat's cards, so you're going to have to do some homework for that and figure out if I'm guessing it is an Automat. This is an Automat card, so I'm guessing if you had more than one of these cards, I only have one in this set here, I may have another one somewhere, I may not. And if I don't, then I can't use this card. But if you have at least 2 of these cards, you have one on the field, then I'm guessing you could pull one of these Automato cards from your deck to your hand. And you could target one monster you control. All monsters you currently control become that monster's level until the end of the turn, even if this card leaves the field. You can only use this effect of Auto Pickup once per turn. You can only activate one Auto Pickup per turn. So it's a continuous spell here. Ideally, I think this card needs far more than just 2 Gardenas. I think you need to make an actual archetype deck surrounding this to make this card useful. That's why I'm keeping it here. I technically have a Gaga card, but I just don't have enough of them to make this useful. I don't have any of those cards. Do I have a Dogmatica Ritual monster? Another pause to take a look. I do have one. The White Relic of Dogmatica. Here, right? So we have Dogmatica Turgy. This is from another thing from a while ago that I picked up. This one here. Ritual summon one Dogmatica Ritual monster from your hand by tributing Dogmatica monsters and/or Ritual Fusion or Synchro monsters from your field whose total levels equal exactly this. but you need Dogmatica monsters. So while I do have a Dogmatica ritual card here for some reason, I don't have any basic Dogmatica cards. So you need a Dogmatica archetype for this to work. So even though I do have a Dogmatica ritual card, I can't use this. You need to have the Dogmatica archetype to make this card work. So I can't use it. I don't have any Predator Plants. I don't have any Gold Prides. I don't have any Cyanets. And I don't have the Fallen of Albaz. So I can't use any of these cards. Now, for Soljin here, let's take a look. Do we have Warriors? I had to pause for a second to go look. We do. Warrior. We have here, this is from the Metal Raiders. A Metal Raiders one that I picked up. We have the Soljin card that can work with Protector of the Throne. This came from a Metal Raiders pickup that I got from a while ago. So we could use the Soljin with this one here. So that's useful. Do we have an Insect? Yes, we do. This one here is Hunter Spider, again, from Metal Raiders. So we could use this card with that. Do we have a dinosaur? Yes, I have a Urabi here. I have a bunch of these. This one's specifically from SKE006. I also have one from the Pegasus starter deck, and I think one also came in the Kaiba starter deck. I have a bunch of Urabis, so we can use Raised Body Heat. Do we have a dragon? Yeah, like I said, I have a Blue Eyes here, but can we use this with a 1 to 4 star card that we have? Yes, I have a baby dragon here. I have a couple of these baby dragons. This one specifically from Metal Raiders. I could use this Dragon Church card immediately. Look at that. Every single card from that pickup we can immediately use. Immediately. We just had to make sure we had some cards already from other sets that we could use with them. So right away we can use every single card from that booster pack. That's crazy. That's awesome. I love that. We can use these cards right away in tandem with this set here. So that works. We could technically use part of the effects of these five cards in this set. We could use part of it. We just can't use the whole effect, so that's pretty good. So we're well on our way here to making a crappy deck out of just 2 booster packs. And this is a part of the theory that I wanted to play around with, is could you make a deck out of just a couple booster packs? With the modern sets here, I think you're probably going to need to pull a lot more of these to make a deck versus one of these older, the Blue Eyes White Dragon era cards. And let me move the new ones out of the way. Move the new ones here. Yeah, there we go. I think you're going to need to pull a couple more of these newer packs. Even though they come with 28 cards, less than half of them can be used. And 5 of these that are in here that technically amount to about half of the whole set, 5 of them can only partially be used. These, the Legend of the Blue Eyes set, as I showed you, I have a card for every single one of these equipped cards. I have one for every single one of these, which means that every single one of these cards can be used. And the reason why I like these old era cards is because they were more generically named. Dragon Treasure works for any dragon. That's great, because that is a big archetype. That is a big generic type. You know, this here, you need Fallen of Albaz. You need a very specific card. If you don't have that in this booster set, if you don't have that in your collection, you can't use this card. So you have to wait. You have to keep pulling various booster packs until you have cards to fill out these archetypes to be able to use them. Or you have to just grab a deck, a structure deck, that is for that archetype. A Dogmatica structure deck, or a Metal Foes structure deck, or a Therion structure deck, and then you'll be able to use some of these cards to their full potential. But for the most part, I like this older era, but that's probably just nostalgia speaking, because Yu-Gi-Oh! Has become extremely complicated. I'm trying to learn it. I have the Millennium Duels for the PlayStation 3. I picked up Millennium Duels, which has about 5,000 to 6,000 cards in its card pool. with cards up to 2013. So everything up to 2013 I can use, and I've been learning how to play. Even up to 2013, there's Synchro and XYZ cards that I'm still figuring out in those sets, and all these new traps and spells that came out after 2005, because I stopped at 2005, so I have no idea half the cards that have been releasing for this game. So I'm still learning about that, and even that I'm picking it up pretty easily enough. But there's just so much more. There's I had no idea what piercing damage was, for example. Millennium Duels taught me what piercing damage is. And a bunch of cards just say deal piercing damage. I was like, what the heck's piercing damage? It doesn't really tell you. In the older 2002 to 2005 sets, there were piercing damage cards released, but they didn't actually say piercing damage on the actual card effect. It said if this card attacked a card in defense mode, and the defense is lower than your monster's attack, deal the difference in life points direct damage. That is piercing damage, but they didn't call it piercing damage back then, so I never really called it piercing damage. Now I do, so I'm still learning, and we can't use the pot of greed, but I'm still learning how to play. But there's so much new stuff that came out. There's so many archetypes now that so many cards in these booster sets, they just can't be used unless you have that archetype. These can provide great support to those archetypes. You just need to have them. If you don't have those archetypes, they can't be used. Which is why I think you could build a deck with an older booster set. It's not going to be a good one, but you can build one with almost every single card from a booster pack. Like I showed you, I only needed to pull out 5 cards here. Baby Dragon can be used with Dragon Treasure. Urabi can be used with Raised Body Heat. Thunder Spider can be used with the Laser Cannon Armor. Protector of the Throne can be used with Sojin. And then we have these 5 cards that can be used right away. This can't be used unofficially, but I could just play it unofficially with friends, playing with friends who don't care about ban lists, and we just say, hey, I have a Pot of Greed. Pot of Greed? What does it do? It allows you to draw 2 cards. It's pretty self-explanatory. I don't really have anything else to say, but this is a pretty fun little experiment. Because I thought about this as I was watching through the Yu-Gi-Oh anime. As I told you in a previous video, I have been binging the Yu-Gi-Oh anime. I have the complete first 5 seasons of the original anime. That's all 5, with Yugi and Kaiba and Joey and all that stuff. And in season, I want to say near the end of season 1 or the beginning of season 2, the Dungeon Dice Monsters stuff, Joey challenges Duke Devlin to a duel, and Duke says, well, I don't really have a deck of my own, so here's what we'll do. I'll duel you, but you have to play by my terms. We have to each grab a couple booster packs, and we have to build a deck with those booster packs, and we cannot use any other cards that we already own. We just have to build a deck out of the booster packs, and we'll duel with that. And I thought that randomization idea was really cool, because with all of the stuff that exists now, if you had time to prepare, you can make an incredibly overpowered deck to destroy anybody at any time. But if you wanted to play a real random number generator game that was pretty fair, all things considered, the booster pack game idea was pretty good. But for back in the day, if you picked up like 4 Legend of Blue Eyes packs and 4 Metal Raiders packs, because that's all that existed in the first few months of 2002, if you wanted to pick up 4 of each of those and build a deck out of those cards, you could. It wouldn't be an awesome deck, but it would be a deck. and it would be a random deck. It would be very randomized and would be pretty fair because your opponent would also pick 4 Legend of the Blue Eyes booster packs and 4 Battle Raiders packs and build a deck out of that. And you would duel each other to see who would win with their randomized cards and the strategies they would have to use with that. That was a pretty viable idea. In today's modern climate, could you pick up a couple of these booster packs, these randomized 28 card booster packs, and could you build a deck out of this? Yes, you could. I have figured out that all of these cards here could be put into a deck. These cannot, but these could. So you would just need to pick up a couple more, and you could theoretically put a deck together and duel somebody else with this. There's no guarantee you're going to pull good cards. There's no guarantee you're going to have cards with effects that can be used without other cards. There's 5 of these you could put into your deck, but they're not going to be used with the full effects. But then you're going to have cards like these that could be used right away. You just need to have something that could be used with this. Like Dragon Nails only works with the Dark type, so you can put it on the Dark Resonator. Could you put it on anything else? Yeah, you can put it on the Bacon Saver. You don't really have any other dark types here. Do I have a dark type in here? No, there's no dark types in here. But at least you have a dark type that you can use this equipped spell with, so that's pretty good. You could use this, theoretically. It's not going to be good, but you can use it without any other cards. You could play this Link card if you figure out ever how to do it. But specifically for this VLAN Hydra, you need another card in your extra monster zone. You see this, the arrow here? I believe that means you have to have another card in that extra monster zone to summon this Hydra, unless you have another card in your enemy's field in this column here. So you're going to have to use 2 of the 3 arrows to summon this. So technically this is semi-useful. So I'm going to put this in the semi-useful pile. So that makes 6 semi-useful. I forgot about that. So that's 10 useful cards and 6 semi-useful cards. But you could make a deck out of these. That's what I'm trying to say. You could make a deck. You just need to pick up a couple more of these. Theoretically, you might even spend less money because you have to buy about 8 booster packs to build a pretty diverse deck out of these. But you may only need to pick up about 3 or 4 of these 28 card sets. You just need to get lucky. I think we got pretty lucky with this one pull, because I've heard some horror stories where they only pulled out 2 cards they could have used, and everything else was for an archetype that they didn't have. So it's luck of the draw, really. These modern cards are luck of the draw far more than Legend of the Blue Eyes. I've taken a look at the Legend of the Blue Eyes booster set. I've looked at the Metal Raiders booster set. You can look these up on the wiki, the Fanon wiki of both booster sets. You can look at the card lists and see what released in both sets. And you'll probably find out that almost every single card in those lists can be put into a deck right away and be used. It just wouldn't be a good deck, but you could make a deck out of any single card, any single 40 cards of those 2 sets. You could do that. And people did do that. People did pull a bunch of random cards out of those booster packs. They made a deck, and they dueled with each other with them. And we had fun with it. That's how we did it back in 2002, 2003, and it was really fun. I just don't feel like pulling out my old cards. These are the newer cards. It's just that, yeah. I don't really have anything else I have to add here. We're at 53 minutes. I didn't expect it to be this long, but this is just something I wanted to make just for the fun of it, and I'm glad I got to do it. So, yeah, I don't know how to end these things, so I'm just going to click close now.